dealing with those. They run through what's left of the week. That's an improved picture right there in New Orleans. Boy, we saw what it looked like just a few moments back in Baton Rouge. Tells us part of the story. So let's hear about it. We've got our very own Robert Ray waiting for more of the storms to push through. You've had some, Robert. We saw the camera from Tiger Stadium up in Baton Rouge. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah, it just depends where you're at. I mean, we had those kind of visuals overnight here in New Orleans in the French Quarter, and then some pretty, intense wind and rain coming in earlier today, and some boomers, some big thunder and lightning over, but not really what we were expecting, right? Because of how this storm formulated. It just hugged the coast. It's still creating showers, but it never really got the juice from the temperatures out in the Gulf. 50 miles to the south or so, we could be talking about a tropical depression or tropical storm, Ian. But hey, I want to bring in James Karst into here real quick. James, Director of Communications, your coastal restoration.
Yeah, the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. We're a nonprofit.
Exactly. Now, you and I have been talking a lot about the coast here, and there's a lot of things that we're going to get to. But overall, this essentially, Invest 93L, was a fire drill for what could come in the coming month or so at the peak, correct?
Yeah, I think it was a good opportunity for people to review their plan if we do have a significant storm, to think about how to secure things in their yard or where they would go. Some people keep an axe in the attic. So it turned out to be, at least so far, a dud. We have had very little rain, no wind, at least here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those things where it may vary from location to location. A little bit outside the city, they may have gotten heavier rain, but here, you wouldn't even know.
But the thing is, I mean, when the National Hurricane Center, designates an area of investigation, and there's the possibility everybody here kind of goes into that mode, right? That's why the mayor had a press conference last night. That's why Public Works was looking at the pumps. And we know the topography of this area. You guys are surrounded by water, so it's serious at any point, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We're surrounded by water, and we're a bowl. We're below sea level, most of us. And so, the threat of flooding is always here. I always think back to, well, I don't think back because I wasn't alive then, but 300 years ago when the city was founded, the spring after they started to build this city, the whole thing flooded. So It's part of our DNA. I think we watch the weather, more closely than anyone in America. So we're definitely watching this week.
Exactly. That's why we're here on the ground at Fox Weather. Ian and everyone, this is some interesting breaking news we have as well. A month and a half from now is the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And we'll be covering that, and we hope that another system doesn't come in. But there is billions of dollars that have been put into coastal Louisiana to create new land and essentially speed bumps for these hurricanes that come in. And we just found out something that maybe isn't the best news as far as the coast.
Yeah, we learned today, actually, when I was on my way here, that the state has officially halted construction on what's called the Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion Project. It was a large engineering project that would replicate the natural connection between the Mississippi River and coastal wetlands. It would build new land, it would restore the natural hydrology, but it's just not politically doable at this point, and so it has been shut down.
Yeah, we've been out on the ground for that, Ian, myself, covering that. And so, James, I've seen it up close. And if you haven't really been down 80, 90 miles to the south of where we're at, where the Gulf of Mexico meets the Mississippi River, you can't quite understand how fragile this land is. And it's really kind of a big deal. So if we get a huge Category 4 or 5 coming in, well, it's going to break up all of that land again, and the speed bump won't quite exist, right, James?
Yeah, and that's correct. So the coastal wetlands, what exists between here and the Gulf, is a natural form of hurricane protection. So when a storm passes over that, it tends to weaken. That absorbs its storm surge as well. And so we have less of that, a lot less, and continue to lose it by the minute. This project would have corrected some of the problem. It wouldn't have fixed everything. We're never going to go back to what it was 100 years ago. No. But this would have helped. Yeah.
James, thank you. I appreciate it. And, I'm glad that Invest 93L hasn't turned into, water rushing down Bourbon Street, but it could have.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's the deal. Thank you. Ian, back to you with a local expert. And by the way, someone who was part of the Pulitzer Prize winning team here at the newspaper during Hurricane Katrina. So this guy knows a lot about what's shaken, especially in the next month and a half at the anniversary.
Yeah,
Ian?
I'm sure a lot of reflection taking place in the project, like you spoke about. So many trying to make that place more resilient to stand up to storms. That one being the mother of all of them, truly the storm of record for New Orleans. Yeah. That's Robert Ray in New Orleans. Thank you.